This week's first impressions video is on Camping Vlog Simulator 2024, and honestly it's one of the most disappointing games I've played this year. It looks polished, it looks amazing, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but it is buggy, there are little annoyances that drive me absolutely up the wall, and there are some very glaring translation issues, which means that the grammar, context and punctuation isn't all the best. You can actually see that on this first opening screen, where the quote reads, "Enjoying nature with you is a wonderful experience. Thanks, and we look forward to more." It doesn't really read right. It's not bad, but it doesn't really read correctly. And there are other experiences in the game where you try and sleep and stuff, and it doesn't read right. Outside of that, there are some annoyances with the options, and the game was bugged to the point where I couldn't actually continue. And there was a different bug with the same piece of kit twice. I actually restarted to see if I could get it to not do the thing it was doing, and it did something completely different, which still halted my gameplay from the very beginning, which was very annoying. As always though, we'll go through the options first, and then we'll jump into the game, and I will see if I can actually get further than I got before, and if I can, then the bug is just an if, buts and a maybe. So your settings, and this is where one of the first bugbears comes to pass. Whenever you hover over anything, it makes this like weird ting sound, and it grates me. It's probably it's a very subjective thing, but it sends shivers down my spine, and not the good kind, and it does it on every single option. It was genuinely driving me crazy as I was going through the options. However, the options themselves aren't terrible, they're not amazing, but they could be better. Interestingly enough, the language actually started in Turkish, so I had to switch it back to English by default, which was a bit weird. And then you go into your controls, you've got your mouse sensitivity, your invert access, your key bindings, which is nice because you can rebind those. There isn't much here. One thing I would say is that the mouse has some weird sort of delay. Like, it moves around nice, but it feels delayed, and it can maybe give you a little bit of dysmorphia and a bit of vertigo almost. It wasn't nice, and this is with motion blur switched off, so do bear that in mind when you're moving around. It can be a bit swayy. It's not immediate as you walk around, and it's a bit weird. Your audio settings, obviously you've got your environment, music, effects. Effects is probably what you want to turn off if you don't like this tinging noise. Yeah, it's really odd. What I do like is the fact that the game starts at 50% volume on everything, and it's not an overpowering volume, which is nice. I was able to turn my headset all the way up, and it wasn't overpowering at all. So the fact that they've started at 50% is really, really nice. Unfortunately, in this menu, it's the only good thing about it, because the game just doesn't go far enough, in my opinion. Your video settings are where this really, really lets it down. First thing, you've got your options, which are side scroll, which I hate. Make it a drop down menu. It's much easier for the player, because you never know what the top end is if you scroll all the way through. So if you're going to have it scroll, have it stop at the high end and stop at the low end. Don't have it cycle through, because it's really, really frustrating. Frame limit is set to 60, and VSync is off by default. I have put desync on. Motion blur is off by default, which is really nice. And then graphics, it weirdly started me at medium. It is a very pretty game, but textures and stuff like that, they don't really require, like, they don't push my system very hard. Then you've got your draw distance, which is set at 150. They could do with going further on this, in my opinion. It goes okay, but with a game as pretty as this, they could definitely go further, and they definitely need to improve textures and stuff in the game. On top of that, another really annoying thing was you start the game up here, and you can go back to your home from here, but there's no back button, and these I didn't even realize were buttons until after I'd already pressed on this one and exited out of the game entirely. It would be nice if there was a save button, and it would be nice if there was just a back button, or if these were more prevalent so you knew what they were. You can go through here, and this is where you can go to the store and you can buy things, but obviously you start with zero money, so you're starting with what you've got, and you've got your different cars that you can work with and stuff like that. I don't know how well the money scales, because I haven't got that far, because the game was broken. It does look like it is quite expensive to get a decent car, like 5,000 here. You're looking at 600 to 2,000. You know, you've got your 440 10 and stuff like that. There is a lot here, which is nice, but again, I don't quite know how ready it is or how easy it is to get that money to get those upgrades. And realistically, I don't really know how much you need or how much space and stuff that you need for that. But that's the options. That's the store. Again, it's not bad. I just feel like it could go further. And this horrible ticking sound that you get when you mouse over options genuinely drove me crazy. Once you're in the game, you are presented with your phone camera that you've got and the campsite and your car. And you have a series of main quests that you can use. And then you've got your side quests on top. The only thing that it highlights properly is garbage and your wood. It doesn't highlight the mushrooms or anything like that. You've just got to sort of find your way. As a tutorial, these main quests aren't amazing because it doesn't really highlight everything or explain it well. Because your camera points are highlighted, you know you've got 3 points to go. And then you essentially can just put your tent wherever, but it doesn't tell you that. So for a while, I was sort of sat wondering whether I had to go to a different place, or eventually I just kind of got tired with it and was like, okay, cool. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that you have to essentially pull it and drop it down, otherwise you open it on top of the car, which isn't ideal, and then you have to hold to set it up. In a realistic setting, once you've got it in your hand, you should just be able to open it from that. To rotate it, you have to press your right mouse button, and that is a bit awkward. Instead of just holding it and turning it, you have to do it on this sort of grid basis, which isn't ideal. When you put it down, it sort of doesn't set properly, even though it was set to be set properly. It's a very weird thing, this game, and when you stop moving, it sort of centers you really slowly, which really doesn't help with that vertigo feeling that I was talking about earlier. Then you have to set up your sleeping bag, which is in the boot of the car. So again, you pick it up, then you've got to drop it and then place it. You can't just place it in the... oh, you can just place it in the thing. Sorry, I do apologize. So you can place the sleeping bag straight in the tent. And then this is where the bug comes in. You have to set up your cooking equipment. And whenever I've set it up, I have never been able to get it to cook food. What I mean by this is I've had two bugs. One where it wouldn't light the fire even though it was considered as lighting the fire. So I couldn't cook my food. It wouldn't let me put the noodles in the pot until the fire's done. And then the next bug that I had was I lit the fire and then it wouldn't let me put the pot on the cooking equipment, which was really, really annoying. So here you can set on fire. There you go. We've got a nice little fire. And then you try and take your pot out and then you've got to put it on. Once the pot's on the fire, away you go. But it won't let you. It physically won't let me put the pot on this area now. Right? And then I drop down and I try and turn off the fire and it doesn't turn off. So you can't advance the main quest because you can't cook your food. Like, at all. This is it. This is the game now. Like, I can't do anything. The fire doesn't turn off. It doesn't do anything. And I can't pick this up and put it on because it's on the fire. Similarly, when I put the pot on first, the fire won't light. And if the fire won't light, I can't cook my food. And it won't let me put the noodles in or anything. So you can't get out of this main quest. All you can do is the side quests, and that's it. But you can't sleep because you're too hungry. So the game is bugged, fundamentally flawed, to the point where you can't continue. This is as far as I've got. Like, I've taken everything out of the car, I've set the light up, I've set the chair up, I've gone through, I've had a look round. The area that you can walk around is very, very small. There are invisible walls everywhere, so you can't go as far. The area isn't large. You've got a load of sticks that you can put on the fire. You've got mushrooms around and stuff. But it doesn't matter because I can't get past this point. Like, the game is fundamentally broken and bugged. And once the fire's lit, you can't even move the cooking equipment. It's just there. That's it now. That is my life. Another really annoying thing, assuming that anybody can get past that bit, is that you can only carry one twig at a time. I have never known anybody struggle to carry more than one twig at a time. Why? Why can I only drag and click and pull one twig at a time? I don't understand. There also doesn't seem to be a There doesn't seem to be an inventory. So you've got to collect 5 mushrooms, but then you can't use that when cooking, which makes no sense. You collect the garbage, but I don't know where it goes. What would be kind of cool or a good idea would be to collect the garbage and put it in the car so that when you take it away, you're leaving the place better. But you just kind of collect it. So you can have 5 or 6 bags of waste, but only 1 twig. It makes no sense. On the note of textures and stuff, the car has some really weird textures on it and lighting, and it highlights itself and stuff. But the lighting is actually really good through the trees, and it sets a really nice feeling. But I can't tell you more than that because I can't advance more than that. This game is broken. It came out on the 16th of February. It's less than like 10 quid. I think it's like 5 or 6 quid on Steam right now. But I can't recommend it because I can't get past the main bit. I cannot cook the food, which means I cannot advance the main quest, which means I cannot play the game. It's broken. Avoid it at all costs. This is the most disappointing game I've played this year. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.